All righty, everybody. Welcome to week. I'm just trying to make sure we are now week 16 of the tier maker. So I just hope to say, Douglas, I'm hoping that you didn't get a lump of coal because I got a lump of coal this week.
Well, I'm feeling good. I don't know. 3 weeks ago, I thought that the Lions would get blown out by the Cowboys. Right now, I'm not so sure.
I mean, I'm not so sure either. But like I said, we should start by doing the slideshow, seeing how everyone of our rankings right now. We are pretty much so. One is trash, or the season is over. Two, bad team, or 5% chance of making it to the playoffs. Honestly, I will tell you this, Douglas. I think we might be done with 1 and 2 right now. For this,
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's pretty much just eliminated.
yeah, I think honestly, 1s and 2s we don't really have to discuss in those points because those teams are already out of the season. 3 is mostly teams that only beat bad teams. 4s are mids.
Mm-hmm.
5s are the football hell versus worst division, i.e., Vikings. Sorry. 6s are going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to win the playoffs. 7s are going to win a playoff game. Putting my Cowboys and Lions, spoiler alert. Making the AFC Championship is the 8s. Now, this is going to be a good question. I don't know if we're going to have any 9s this week, but we'll see when we discuss it when we get to that 49ers Ravens game. We'll see. And then we got 10 winning the Super Bowl, which that probably means once we get to the Super Bowl, because I don't feel confident on who's going to win the Super Bowl, Douglas.
No, I feel more confused than ever.
Yeah, this honestly has changed up everything. So we're going to discuss, you look at this, we have a sea of grave signs of this season's
We're
right.
gonna wave goodbye. We don't need to talk about them. Just bye, guys. See you next year.
See you next year. Have fun golfing. Now, I will talk about, we got a couple of eulogies right now. Only 2 this week. This is actually surprising. I thought there'd be a little bit more eulogies, but surprisingly, there's only 2.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to start with the first eliminated team, and that is the LA Chargers. So Douglas, I had in preseason. I mean, these. I think it's gonna be funny because we're talking about this week. I feel like these are the 2 teams that were probably the biggest letdowns. Like one, I kind of figured there'd be a little bit of a letdown. And in the other one, I kind of thought they were going to be a letdown in the playoffs. They were just going to stumble their way through. But oh boy, Chargers were a letdown in a different way.
Yeah. Now they're taking over the Bill spot for me, where it's like, man, like there's so much to like about this team, but I was not on the field. Like they're a really hard team. Like obviously now they're for a new and Herb. It's been a rough year for LA's other team.
Yeah, it's been a very rough year for the Chargers. I mean, you already fired your coach, who doesn't have to do any defensive calls no more.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and also you lost Justin Herbert after the season. That's just not good. Like, I just kind of feel like, and they've just been like, and it's the more frustrating part about it is they've been losing by like close games at the beginning of the season. So if I'm looking right here with my handy dandy notepad, the Chargers have been, in my opinion, I mean, they barely lost to the Bills. When we get to the Bills game, it's like barely lost to the Bills, got blown out by the Raiders, blown out by the Bucs, barely beat the Patriots, barely like 10 points, 3. There's a lot of close games.
I mean, that's why like you don't feel too worried because you just know like a team that's that close in games, they have to get back towards the mean. So like theoretically, they're not going to lose all these close games again. You know, you have a healthy Justin Herbert, but also, I don't know. Like I don't know how you get better next year. Like I don't feel like you bring back the same team. I don't know.
New coach.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously going to be a new coach, but man, oh man, Like Justin Herbert's great to build around, and like so is Keenan Allen, but
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I've heard the rumors that they're trying to offer Harbaugh the job for the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Like Harbaugh also has a $125 million offer from Michigan, supposedly. So we'll see.
We'll see. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I will say, I feel like it's more. I think they got the talent. I feel like the coaching staff was a problem.
You know, this is a random take, but you know whose stock has gone down?
Who?
I think Kellen Moore's. Because everybody thought he was just going to go to the Chargers and like make that offense amazing because of what he did in Dallas. But I think like for one, the Cowboys offense being so good with Mike McCarthy, and two, the Chargers being this bad, kind of just the buzzkill for Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I think honestly that's gonna hurt Kellen Moore. It's like stop. I mean, Grant, I always joke that in my opinion, the NFL is like incest. So it's like even if you get like fired as a head coach, you just like, all right, I'll just be an offensive coordinator, or all right, I'll just go to this spot. You know, I mean, there's never like you never get banished unless you're John Gruden.
Yeah, you have to really do something messed up to not
Yeah.
get rehired.
Yeah. Like even I'm trying to even the Lions head coach, and they went 0-18. I think he got like a defensive or offensive job in like the Giants. You know what I mean? It's a downgrade, but he still has a job. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm pretty sure, if my mind suits me correctly, I think he's actually in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, he never got banned. He never was like, you were so bad, the Lions. Like, we're never gonna let you go. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think there's some people are just meant to stay as coordinators and not full head coaches.
Yes.
So, but
So
yeah, back to the Chargers. Disappointing season. Hopefully, you don't waste too much of Herbert's prime.
yeah, I have a bad feeling. I mean, we'll see how they do next year, but I do feel like they're gonna waste. It's like I feel like the Chargers have a bad history of just wasting great talent.
Yeah,
Let's be honest.
man, no disagreements here.
All right, so we're done with the Chargers right now. We will talk to you once we get to the postmortem. And now we got to talk about another disappointment who I knew was going to be disappointment, but oh boy, that was a bigger disappointment. The Giants. How do you feel, Doug, about the Giants?
I mean, they're not as surprising to see here. Like, it's almost surprising that they made it this far with Daniel Jones going out. Like, you kind of just knew they overpaid Daniel Jones.
I knew that. I think honestly, this made me think, and I think we talked about it like a couple weeks ago. Like, I feel like the Giants just stumbled their way into the playoffs, some playoff game against a crummy Vikings team.
Well, yeah, but that Vikings team was just like historically lucky last year. So it's
Yeah.
like their luck ran out, but like it's hard though because the NFL is so hard to even kind of backfired on New York here.
Oh, can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh yeah, I was just saying that the NFL is so hard to win that like you win a playoff game, you're just so desperate that you're willing to overpay and just say like, oh yeah, you're our savior. When really, like you said, it was more of a fluky situation.
Yeah, and I just feel like, and I remember my strong opinion sports was talking about mediocre quarterbacks and like, they put Dak in there and Daniel Jones. Honestly, I think honestly, like that take like a month ago, I feel like granted Dak has not been better, but I feel like I don't think I should put him in the mediocre category where I put Daniel Jones in that mediocre category of they overpaid a quarterback.
Games here and there, but
can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Definitely not mediocre.
Yeah. Can you repeat?
My Wi-Fi's thinking. I would say Dak's definitely not mediocre. Like, I mean, I'd like to see him win a primetime game at some point, but
I would like him to like not win an away game. That's a good team, but at some point. But anyway,
nice.
We shouldn't talk about the Cowboys until we get to the Cowboys. But like I said, like I just felt like, and also, do you miss the last head coach, Giants fans? I'm just thinking about it. Do you miss him yet?
Yeah.
But I just feel like, I mean,
Super.
it's a brutal sport. And I mean, like I said, it's a brutal, the New York media market will just like whip you to shreds if you're this bad. But I just feel like this Giants team was okay. I mean, was not really that good. I thought they were going to be okay. And then I realized, nope, they were a lot worse than I thought. But I do feel vindicated because preseason I gave them a 5. And I feel like I was vindicated now this season.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been viewed as a small hot take at the beginning of the season, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you knew they were the 3rd best team in that division.
Yeah, I definitely did. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's like the Cowboys, Eagles, top 2, and then everyone else is just in the garbage division. And I just do not feel, like I said, didn't feel any confidence in the Giants. We'll see how they do next year. This is going to be interesting. I mean, with Tommy DeVito doing great, or maybe he was just a 3-game wonder. We'll see how it goes. But I do feel like, and who's going to get Daniel Jones? Nobody's going to take him unless it's like a backup quarterback, unless you want like a backup.
Well, I mean, Daniel Jones, I think he just got, or not Daniel Jones, sorry, Danny DeVito just got benched this week.
Oh, yeah. He did get benched. Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I think the 3-game wonder is looking more likely because Tyrod Taylor came in and the offense started clicking.
Yeah, I do agree. Tyrod did look a lot better on this game. But like I said, I don't know. I feel like the Giants are kind of going. We'll see how they go for next year. But this year's been like, this team's bad.
I'll make a similar comment to I did with the Chargers. Please don't waste Saquon's prime. Like, he is too talented to just be in this level of mediocrity. Like, I would love to see Saquon do something.
I feel like, is Saquon kind of in like the same spot as like Barry Sanders was?
That was the comparison in my head where it's like, they win a playoff game, everyone's expecting to take that jump, and then all of a sudden you just miss the playoffs for a while and rebuild.
Yeah, and the funny part is, like, it's been since week 1. They've just been like stunk. It's like that. I never felt confident with this Giants team after they got blown up by the Cowboys, and got blown up by the Cowboys twice. Like, I kind of felt like I knew this team was pretty bad, and I knew this team was never going to make it. Like, never going to make the playoffs. I don't even think maybe the highest I ever gave them was like a 3, maybe a 4. Like, I think 5 the preseason was the highest I ever gave the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, they've been hard to watch all season, so I think that's enough about them.
So
goodbye. Better luck next year. Hopefully,
it's going to be fun. We got to do our postmortem. We got to talk about all 32 teams again. All right. So we got to start with the first game, the LA Rams.
Very nice.
So, Douglas, since the Rammies got the dub, this is the only actually the only Thursday night football game, which was the Rams versus Saints. And this one, it's interesting because the Rams had a huge lead and then they almost let go of it, but they still hold on.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I like what Los Angeles is doing a lot. Like, I think I heard them on the broadcast talking about how this might be one of McVay's better coaching jobs, and I agree. Like, it's really kind of cool that they've almost bridged this gap between their Super Bowl run and their future runs. Because, like, their team is young. Like, they have a bunch of really young dudes, and then you have like Stafford and Aaron Donald in there, and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, you got like the mix of both. You got young talent and veteran players that just to help out the young talent right now. And honestly, the Rams have impressed me. I think honestly, for Sam Darnold, I'm sorry, not Sam Darnold, Sean. Oh, the head coach of the Rams. I know. For the head coach of the Rams, I honestly feel like I'm more impressed with this Rams than the Super Bowl Rams. If that kind of makes sense. I feel like in the resume, because like I said, I gave him a 3 preseason. I didn't think this Rams team, I thought, all right, They paid their way for that Super Bowl. They gave everything to this trade to the Lions, and then they just like, all right, we sacrificed a ring for like the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, they proved me wrong, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it shows a lot about their like organization and their development of players and stuff. 'Cause, I mean, if you would have told me 4 or 5 weeks ago that we'd be talking about a potential LA versus Detroit playoff matchup, I would have kind of laughed about that. But
Yeah.
here they are. Stafford's looking back to form. They got 2 really good receivers now. Their rookie running back is looking unbelievable. You know, the defense has been solid. Like, this is a team that would be very not fun to see in the playoffs, I guess.
And I honestly say they've improved right at the end. I feel like that's the one thing I like about this Rams. Like at the beginning, they've been like mediocre. Like if I'm looking at like how they were, like the whole this season, like literally the regular season, they did beat the Seahawks, but then they lost the Bengals, lost the 49ers, beat the Colts, lost to the Eagles, lost to the Steelers, lost to the Packers badly. Then they beat the Seahawks. Actually, the Seahawks. Did they beat them twice? They beat them twice this year, and beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, that'd be really nice for tiebreakers.
Yeah, honestly, they've been getting like close and like it's interesting to like think like I think I've been like a little bit like down on the Rams. And honestly, now this is a good question. So they would play against the Lions. Can they beat Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion?
But I mean, I would.
Do you think they can
I mean,
beat?
they could, but I would pick. They could, but I would pick the Lions. I mean, that's like I don't.
Yeah, I feel like it's a tough one.
Wouldn't be surprised to see them win.
Yeah,
It is a tough one. Like I mean, I don't think there's a reason to pick the Rams over the Lions right now, though. I mean,
yeah,
the Lions have just come off of back-to-back really nice victories as well.
yeah. I think they've done really good, and honestly, I think we need to give them the 6 for right now. I mean, would you agree?
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, I do feel like that the Lions, the Rammies have been looking a lot better right now and a lot more improved. Now we got to talk about the things that I don't feel like have been improving right now. The Saints, who are still in this. They are the 11th seed in the playoffs. They have not. They're 7-8.
Yep.
What are your thoughts about this Saints team, who I just do not think is that good?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have some like. I think we gave them kind of a. They were holding on to. I think they looked pretty good last week, but then this is the Saints that we've come to know this year. Like, you play okay, but you really can't afford as fits this team. It's like you still have a small chance at the playoffs, but like if you made it there, nobody's going to be fearful of playing you.
Yeah,
You know?
I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs. First of all, there's no way that the Saints are going to make the playoffs. I think, like, number 2, and this is, I'm looking at like the stats right now, and I have Alvin Kamara in my fantasy. Alvin Kamara only got 19 rushing yards. That's your best like weapon. That's not.
That could be speaking as much to the Rams though, because their defense has been good. But no, I agree. I think I lost my guillotine league because Kamara only put up like 8 points or something.
Yeah.
You know, I needed his classic 25 points, and you know the Rams are just a good defense. Like the Saints have good pieces, they're not there.
No.
And like, you know, I personally, if I was them, I would want a new quarterback. Like I would love a franchise QB because I just don't. I think we know what Derek Carr is at this point.
Yeah, and I think they copied off of the Buccaneers. I will always say it. The Saints and the Raiders copied off of the Buccaneers and the Rams. Like, we just need a quarterback, and that's going to change the game. Derek Carr ain't that elite quarterback. He's never been elite. I've never been impressed with Derek Carr.
I guess the only for it is if you. So here's the only argument for it. The Buccaneers won completely different because you have Tom Brady, Super Bowl winner. I think people are thinking that Derek Carr could be like Stafford. Because like Stafford, I think, had a very similar reputation to Derek Carr until he won a Super Bowl, where it's like good regular season quarterback and throw it a ton. But Stafford got into a good situation and got that Super Bowl where it's not looking like Derek Carr is ever going to win that Lombardi.
No, I don't think Derek Carr is going to hold that Lombardi. I think Derek Carr is just like a mediocre mid quarterback, and I think with the Saints, he's been a mediocre mid quarterback.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
What do you think, Douglas? I'm going to give him the 4. I think this is a mid team I can think of. Even if, sorry about that, even if they are part of, like I said, if they're not part of this garbage organization, I still give the Saints a 4.
Yeah.
Because I just think they've been mid this season. It's kind of funny. I had them preseason, I gave them a 4. Last week I gave them a 4. This week I'm still gonna give them a 4. I think probably when they get eliminated, I'm gonna give them a 4. And then probably when we do our post-mortem, I'm gonna give them a 4.
Yeah. No, they're just I don't know. They're a confusing team, but they're not a very exciting team. So fair enough.
I have not been excited and I've not been interested. So unfortunately, Saints, I think I'm gonna write your eulogy next week. So we'll see. Now we gotta talk about this Steelers beating up them Bengals. Not even a close game. This was not a close game at all. I watched this game. It was not even close. It was an ugly game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
So, what is your thoughts about the Pittsburgh Steelers? And it's
first thought is first thought is they are a very confusing team. Show some consistency.
Oh my god, it's so funny because I remember I was listening to my YouTuber friend Chisel Adonis, and he had like a rant. He's like a Pittsburgh fan, and he literally is like, "Where the heck was this team 2 weeks ago? Where was this team last week? Where was this team against the Patriots? Where was this team against the Cardinals?"
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this too shows just like how good they can be, and like I think this is gonna be a random take, but like this is also why I've been very hesitant on Kenny Pickett. Like I just don't think like Mason Rudolph, who really, I mean, obviously he's not that good because he hasn't been like a starter really consistently. Like he's been okay, but he just sat there and balled out and like he made George Pickens look unbelievable.
You got 2 TDs. You got Najee Harris got a touchdown. You got George Pickens get 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Like that.
Yeah, I mean, but put up 34 points. Like, when's the last time? That was the most points they've scored literally the entire season.
Uh-huh.
You know, like what happened?
Yeah, they literally controlled this game. The first half was 24-0.
Mm-hmm.
It was not even a close game. Like it's just been like, and literally they just got, and the Bengals only got like 2 touchdowns in garbage time. So it is interesting because it's like this is the weird week, and I always say that this is the week of there's like 4 teams that maybe had good games, and everyone else had a letdown week.
Yeah.
And for the Steelers, they are now 9th in the playoffs in like the rankings right now. They're behind, and they're the same record as the Colts, Houston, and the Bengals. And they just beat the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what stinks for them is they just lost to the Colts last week. And so, I mean, that could have been a potential playoff elimination type of game. Because, I mean, did they lose to Houston as well?
They lost to Houston, yes. They did lose to Houston, if I remember.
Let's see. They did, you said?
I think did they play against Houston? Let me check.
Yeah, they lost to Houston.
Yeah, they lost to Houston like the midway season, and that was really bad. They lost like really badly.
Yeah, I mean, they lost to Houston. They lost to Indianapolis. I mean, but they own the tiebreaker over the Bengals. So it's like, I mean, they feel like maybe a 5 where it's like kind of that football hell where it's like you're probably going to have a similar record to playoff teams, but like just based on tiebreakers, you're not going to be in. So like, I mean, you can make a case for a 4 or a 5. I don't think.
I think they're still the 5 because they are like, and hear me out. They're tied with like the 7th seed with the same record. That's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, everyone else got a letdown year. Nobody looks impressive. I didn't think the Colts looked impressive. Houston doesn't look impressive. Like, Bengals don't look impressive right now with Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Like, I think you got to give them the 5 just in the sense of, like, they're, like, close to the chinny chin chin of making the playoffs. So I feel like this is totally reminding me of, like, 2021 Steelers, whereas, like, Big Ben looked really bad towards the end. They did win a couple games, and then they kind of fluked their way in the playoffs and then just got killed by, like, yeah.
I mean, there.
No, I'm here. You just kind of
okay, cool.
You just kind of echoed out. So can you repeat that?
Oh yeah, I said 5's good. That's all I said.
Yeah, 5 is good. So we'll see. Maybe they'll make the playoffs this year. I feel like prediction's been pretty right with the Steelers, to be honest with you. So look at that. Look at the beauty of they're still staying the 5. I feel right. Cool. Now we got to talk about the letdown of the many letdowns of this week. The darn Bengals.
Yeah. I mean, this might be a hot take, but I think they might drop all the way down to a 4. I mean, they're sitting in 10th. They lose a lot of tiebreakers. Like, they have the tiebreaker over the Colts, which is good. But like they play at the Chiefs and they play the Browns. And they like lose so many tiebreakers. So it's like this isn't a team that's gonna make the playoffs.
No.
They're a team with a backup QB and Jamar Chase has been out. Like, just kind of an unfortunate wasted season for Cincinnati, I think.
Yeah, they fortunately got the pumpkin. Unfortunately, they got a lump of coal right now. Bengals fans got a bad lump of coal today. And yeah, I think I'm kind of tempted to put them at the 4 just because, like, granted, they have the same record as the Steelers, Houston, the Texans, and the Colts.
Yeah.
But there's all those tiebreakers. And I feel like, and I was looking at Steve Kornacki when they were talking about the statistic. For them losing this game, they went from like a 66% shot if they beat the Steelers to now 13. Granted, everyone else lost, but I bet you that's probably like in 15 to 17% range. That's not good odds. So I agree with you. I think just for that statistical odds right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I mean, like you said, like literally that one game was their whole season, and they weren't even competitive. Like they were down 24-0. Like it's a bummer, but for the sake of time, I think we should scoot on because I think we got the Bengals knocked down pretty well.
Yeah, honestly, this is probably the big. If you thought the Chargers were the biggest letdown, I think I'll put the Bengals at the second biggest letdown.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because I think they're pretty equal because they're two teams that their quarterbacks haven't been really consistently healthy and things like that. But yeah, they're up there. Bengals, Chargers, Jets, very big letdowns.
Very big letdown. So, like I said, we are down. R.I.P. Jake Browning turned into pumpkin. I'm sorry, Joe Burrow, but the Bengals did not make no playoffs. I'm putting my money on it.
Yeah.
Now we got to talk about the only game that the 2 games that we eliminated persons. We got to talk about the Bills eliminating the Chargers by only 2 points. 422. Douglas, what is your thoughts about these Buffalo Bills?
A little too close for comfort, but like at the end of the day, it was an emotional nice win. You're coming off of a huge win over the Cowboys. It was a mini trap game, and I'm just glad that they were able to win it for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let me look at the playoffs here because, I think unfortunately they still feel like a 6.
This would be interesting. They would play against KC, and KC has just been looking a little bit bad. When we get to them, don't worry. I know. Should we get up to the 7?
Possibly. I mean, they just beat KC in KC like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, I say just based on that, maybe they're the 7 and KC. Well, we won't talk about KC till we get there, but
Like they just look real. Like I said, I know.
like them to beat the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, I feel like I could probably see them beating the Chiefs. Like I don't think they can beat.
Well, I mean, yeah, they just did it,
Yeah, and I like it is so funny because we've been so let down and disappointed by like Buffalo. You said this is a big disappointment. I feel like they kind of bounced back right now. They had 2 good wins. They beat the good Cowboys team. That's been good. They had a bad game, but they won. So that's at least a good option on that one. So
Yeah, I mean, they've won like 4 out of 5, right? 1, 2, 3. And their only loss was in overtime at Philly. So it's like, this is a team that nobody wants to play right now.
Yeah, honestly, this team could definitely sneak in, and maybe this might be the few wildcard teams that might sneak in. Could they do a Tampa Bay, make it to the Super Bowl?
Potential hot take for you, Stu. Bills win the division still.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Because the Dolphins, it's against the Dolphins. They could take the Dolphins right now.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, this week the Dolphins play at the Ravens.
That's a tough one.
So I mean, literally week 18, Bills Dolphins could be for a division title. How cool would that be?
Yeah, honestly, I would love a division title like in week 18 because usually like everything is like week 18 is kind of like the snooze fest, the nothing burger, to be honest. But honestly,
exactly. Yeah.
I wouldn't want a good game on that one. So honestly, I think surprisingly I gave him the 7. Let's look at that. I don't think
congrats on the turnaround, guys.
I don't think we were thinking we're going to raise their stock prices this week. But look at that. Their stock prices have gone up. Congratulations, Buffalo. You're now in a good spot. Now,
okay.
Now we got to talk about maybe the few teams that I felt like did really well. Like,
oh man,
the Browns just destroying them Texans. It wasn't even a close game. It wasn't even.
Yeah.
It made it not look like a good game. But the Brownies beat the Buffalo 36-22.
Mm-hmm.
About Joe Flacco just balling out right now.
Man, like what a fun team. Like my brother-in-law called me asking if I was rooting for the Browns. And I honestly told him I'll root for the Browns against anybody other than the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what a fun team. Like I thought that they were absolutely done. Like we were both making fun of Deshaun, and now all of a sudden we have all this positivity to talk about. Potential quarterback dispute going into next year. Wow. We'll see.
And it's so funny because it's like beginning of the season, like I gave the Browns a 5. It's actually kind of funny because like some of the people put Browns making the playoffs. I personally thought like I never really thought Deshaun was going to be good, but I feel like if Deshaun didn't get hurt, I think they probably would be a 5 right now.
Well, like yeah, I mean, there's a chance for sure. Well, I mean, in low key, they still have a sliver of a hope. Well, let's look at they still have a sliver of a hope of winning their division too.
Yeah, honestly, they have like 2 easy games. Well, they got the Jets and then they got the Bengals.
So I mean, 2 teams coming off of bad losses. They could easily get to 12-5, and I mean, granted, the Ravens aren't probably not going to lose their last 2, but like they're still that'd be pretty crazy if this team went on to win the division.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Like I will say this, Brownies fans. Wouldn't it be crazy? Am I crazy to think, is this a Super Bowl winning team? Should I give this team an 8? Am I crazy enough? Am I have Flacco fever?
See, I don't know. Like it's hard because their defense is like they have the best defense in the league. If they can just simply do enough on offense, I mean they could, but I also don't think I would pick them yet to beat. Oh, see, I don't know. Like I think they're still a 7 for now, with a lot of chance to move up. Like they're a team I would look into buying stock for.
And it's so crazy because I think this team could beat the Dolphins. I think this team could beat KC. I think I think they can beat KC at KC. I think they because let's put it this way. So the Brownies would play against.
Well, I mean, they already beat Baltimore in Baltimore too.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. They can definitely beat the Jaguars if they play against the theoretical playoffs, and then I think they can beat Buffalo because then they have a home game at Buffalo. I think I mean, granted, Buffalo's been improving, but I don't think they can beat the. I don't think the Brownies can lose to Buffalo.
I mean, they could. Like, they definitely could. Like, Buffalo's. These are like those would be the two hottest teams in the league.
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest turnaround of the season right now. Like, I feel like that this team is definitely one of those where it's like they've been mid. I've not been impressed. I kind of want this one. I never really liked the Deshaun picked. I kind of felt gross and disgusted by all of the situation with Deshaun. And now with Joe Flacco and Deshaun out for the season, it kind of made me root for the Browns again.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Go Browns, go.
So
I mean, I think technically a 7, but like I would not be surprised to see this team turn it around, get to an 8. Like they might be that dark horse in the AFC to, they might actually do it. Might see our Browns Lions Super Bowl. Who knows?
now this might be a good question. Will we give a wild card team an 8? That's going to be
See, and that's the big question. Like that's where it gets really hard. Like it'll depend on matchups. It's going to depend on how they finish the season. Because I mean, while I think that they're turned around, I think there's still a chance that they have a letdown game somewhere, or So until they officially do it, but I love what you're doing, Cleveland.
I love what you're doing. Let's go Brownies. Brownies! And you're not the Clownies no more. You are the Cleveland Browns. Now we got to talk about the two disappointing teams. We got to talk about these Texans.
Yeah. I mean, I think you already had the 5 in there, and like that feels about right to me. Where it's like you still could make the playoffs, but it's like they have the head-to-head over Pittsburgh, but they don't have it over anybody else.
And I feel like this might be a good playoff potential because they got to play against the Titans. Titans season is done, so if they just don't choke this game, I think they can beat the Titans. And
Well, I
then
mean, that's the thing. Yeah, there's a chance that they move up. Like they have, what do they have? A couple of winnable games left, hopefully for them.
yeah, and then they got to play against the Colts, and that might be if the Colts and Titans, that is literally because then they got to play against
that one with the Colts could be a playoff game.
Yeah, so so I still probably give them the 5 right now. I wouldn't be shocked if they do make that playoffs. Because I feel like I think they have the easier option. Because I'm looking at it compared to the Colts right now, they got Tennessee Titans, and their season's already done. I don't think they're going to win that. I don't think the Titans are going to come back and win that one, as long as you don't lose a trap game. And then
here's the unfortunate side of things, though, Stu, is they're competing kind of for a division title with Jacksonville, and you know who Jacksonville gets to end the season with?
Oh,
the Panthers and the Titans. So it's like, man, like even if you do win your last 2, the Jaguars are probably also winning their last 2. And so it's like you're kind of really competing probably more for a wild card spot. And like, do we really think, I mean, if they beat the Colts in, week 18, they might. I think literally their whole seasons are going to come down to can they beat the Colts.
Yeah, honestly, I do think this team is going to definitely. I think this team looks good, but I don't know. I just feel like the Texans are going to make that playoff spot. If I had to pick it, because I just feel like the Colts are. I don't feel confident in them beating the Raiders when we get to talk about it. Like I feel like the Texans are in a better spot right now.
No, I agree. I mean, here, let me pull up too, because ESPN does that cool thing where they post like odds to make the playoffs. So let's see here. Where did that go? Updated playoff picture. Let me give you the percent odds that Houston makes up. Houston currently has a 39% chance. So I mean, I think a 5 is fair because like they still have a good chance, but the Colts have a 48% chance, and the Jaguars have a 79% chance. So
yeah, Yeah. So I think for 5 for now. We'll keep it in the 5, but I think there might be a 6. That's gonna be my bet right now.
Yeah, I think there's a chance. I mean, shoot, 39% is nothing to scoff at.
Yeah. Now we got to talk about this beautiful Seattle Seahawks, who have now, I believe they clinched. So we only have to talk about the Seahawks beating the Titans, and I
Yep.
believe 20-17. Another close game. Again, I was like, Seattle, need to stop these close games. They are in the
Yeah.
playoffs right now.
I was
So
gonna say, I mean, they feel like a 6. I mean, they have a 72% chance of making the playoff. Like, they're a team that I think unfortunately is kind of limping to the finish line. So like, if they make the playoffs, hopefully they can get back on track a little bit.
yeah, so and I'm trying to think. Was Geno Smith out of the game?
No, he played this game.
Yeah, he did not. Like I said, that's the only thing I'm a little bit. I think they're limping. The only thing is like they're barely. Tennessee's out, and you barely beat them by 3. Like I'm just
Yeah.
not impressed with the Seahawks. Like
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a good 6. But if I'm looking at it, but now this is a good question because they would play against Philly, and they beat them at Philly.
Well, no, they just beat them in Seattle.
I'm sorry, they beat them in Seattle. Can they beat them in Philly?
I don't think so. I think Philly and the Cowboys are similar, where they're just better home teams. And I mean, if you watch that game, I mean, granted they won, but like it kind of felt like a game that the Eagles more lost and they won. Like no disrespect, Seattle, but it didn't feel like a game that like really dominated. I mean, it was a cool comeback, but I don't know. Like we'll see how it all plays out. But I think 6 is very fair.
I think it's probably a
It's
6.
like
Yeah, I think you kind of
you
convinced
know,
6 because, like I said, I don't think they can beat them in Philly. But I wouldn't be shocked if they would beat them in Philly because, like I said, Philly has been stumbling, has been kind of not been impressive. They're going to have an easy 3 weeks, and when we're going to talk about it against the Giants,
yeah,
we'll see how they go right there.
yeah,
So we'll
cool.
see. We'll see how the Seattle. Now we got to talk about these Falcons somehow winning a game decisively.
Let me. Oh, the Falcons! What a team!
What an interesting team of unfortunate events where they beat the Colts 29-10. They beat them by 19. It wasn't even a close game.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I really didn't. Like the NFC South is starting to get a tad exciting.
Yeah, like this is like all this. It would be funny. All our trash talking about the NFC South and how much I'd made fun of the NFC South and how much I think this NFC South is garbage. Wouldn't it be funny if the Falcons somehow fumbled their way into the playoffs?
Like that would be fun. I mean, they're a team that they can be exciting.
Yeah.
Like there's hope there. I mean, see, I don't know how to rank them though, because like I feel like with some of these like edge teams, we get a little bit reactive and we kind of like jump them a lot. Like Tampa Bay also looked good. I mean, I feel like they're maybe a 4.
Yeah.
Like, like because I think unfortunately, I think you got to be done at 9:30, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm still good with time. I'm still good.
All right, cool. I mean, they feel like a 4 to me.
Yeah.
But,
Honestly, I feel like I probably give the Falcons the 4. I mean, like I said, and it does stink because, like I said, I feel like for the Falcons fans, they need a tank because they need to fire their coach because I don't think their coach is that good. I think, and I feel like if they fluke their way to the playoffs, I think they're going to give them a bad extension, and they're going to think it's the coach, and I don't think it's the coach. That's the reason why they're making this playoff team.
yeah.
Like,
I agree.
so I think for right now, we got to give the Falcons a good 4 because you're at least sort of in the playoff hunt, but I don't think you're going to make it. You're maybe like a 13% odds, but we'll see. Now we got to talk about the Colts. What a trap game letdown on these Colts team had. They looked bad.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they're still technically in the playoffs because they have the head-to-head over Pittsburgh. It says.
Gardner Minshew did not have a good game last.
No, and like they're a hard team to kind of fully diagnose because I mean they've overachieved expectations. Like it's hard to call them a disappointment anyway because, I mean, clearly they started off as a 1.
And honestly, because I thought that their owner was being like mismanaging the organization. The reason was because Jonathan Taylor from an injury.
Sorry, excuse me.
And basically, I know the owner was basically saying quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. So I kind of was not expecting the Colts to do a lot better. So you know what? You did exceed my expectations. Maybe since I've seen this better Colts team, that I think my expectation is they should be a lot more better.
Yeah.
They are in preseason, but like I said, I think we're still going to keep them for right now, the 6. Like I said, but I do not feel comfortable with the Colts because, like I said, they got to play against. I'm afraid that might be a trap game for the Colts.
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like I don't feel confident with the 6, but I think just based on technicalities, they're a 6 for now.
Yeah, and then they got to play against Houston. And did they lose to Houston?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think. Did they play?
I feel like they beat Houston for some reason.
They
beat Houston in week 2.
Yeah, but that's like week 2, and I feel like that's a different story now. Like I think this is a much more stronger Houston than week 2 Houston.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So we'll see how it goes with the Colts. But like I said, I think it's 6 for right now. I'm just not impressed right now with the Colts. Now we got to talk about another. And I'm just like, the Packers beat the Panthers by 3. Like, how do you feel about this Packers team that's just not... You should not lose to a Panthers team by 3, first of all.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Packers, they had a fun run there in the middle of the season, but season's over, basically.
Yeah, I mean, they're still in the hunt right now, but they're 10th. Actually, the Falcons are ahead of them.
Can you hear this construction? Of course, the apartment behind me, they're renovating.
Darn it.
I know, right?
We're doing a podcast.
Shooting a podcast here.
Be quiet. At least my family's being quiet. I'm just kidding. But anyway. So I would say for the Packers, it's just been like, yeah, they had a fun run. They've just not been good. Jordan Love has been doing okay. I think he's done a little bit better than expectations, and I think you should probably keep him for next year. Maybe get some more weapons for right now for the Packers.
Oh yeah,
But I think for right now, I think they still got to be the 4 because I just do not think they're like 2 games. Let me try. How behind are they against Seattle right now? If I'm looking at it right now, they are 2 games. I guess I would say 2 games they're behind, and they still got to beat them in the tiebreaker. So you kind of have to have Seattle stumble the ball at the end, and I don't think Seattle's going to stumble the ball because they got like a Steelers team and a Cardinals team. So I think the Packers are going to. I think they're probably like a 10% odds of making the playoffs right now if we had to do statistical analysis.
Yeah. I'd say 4 is fair. Their season's pretty much done, but there's still a chance they sneak their way in, but season's basically over.
Now, we'll see how this game goes. We got the Lions, Douglas. How do you feel?
Kings of the North.
Kings of the North. Finally, since 1993. How does it feel, Douglas? You've been born for 30 years of this okay life. You have never seen Detroit Lions be NFC North champs. How does it feel?
I'm gonna take this moment to say that this weekend might be one of the best upcoming sports weekends of my life. Got the Lions and the Cowboys, Michigan, Alabama, NFC North champs, Big Ten champs. I don't remember a time that I've had so much to be thankful for. So thank you, 2023.
Yes. This has been probably, I mean, they've exceeded my expectations, the Detroit Lions. I thought this team, they're going to win the division because like everyone else looks bad, but they've been kind of impressive this year. And it's crazy. I'm looking at the stats. So their rookie running back. You know the last time the Lions have this good of a rookie running back?
I'm gonna take a guess and say Barry Sanders.
1992 Barry Sanders.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I kind of was a little bit upset with the pick just because I thought that they wanted to trade up for Bijan. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is just explosive. Like,
Yeah.
I am very excited about what he can do. I like the Lions a lot. I mean, I think too, like, I think they had a couple weeks there in the middle where they lost their focus. They kind of were a little bit full of themselves. I think they got humbled really nicely.
Yeah. I think the Bears
Uh,
pulled them a lot when that loss.
I was gonna say, I think they needed that loss to like really achieve what they want to achieve. Like, and I think this week we will truly see just how legitimate the Lions are. I mean, this is a tough game. The Cowboys haven't lost at home. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it.
I think honestly this is gonna be a good game. And now this is a good question we should ask. Should we give Detroit the 8? Or should we give them both? Because this is like a tough one. Can they make it to the NFC Championship?
See, I mean, they could. Like, I think that there's still a 7 until this Cowboys game. And
Yeah.
as unfortunate as that is, because I mean, if they go into Dallas and win, then I feel fairly confident that they could potentially win into Philadelphia. Like, do I think they could beat the 49ers? No, but like we also just watched the Ravens beat down on the 49ers pretty well. So
Dominate.
like there's definitely an avenue. Like, I mean, they're tied for the best record. I mean, I would still probably say I would pick like a Philly or I don't know. We'll see how the game goes against Dallas. Until
I
then, 7.
I think honestly I'm gonna give them the 7. I think, like I said, that is the only two tough parts is like, can they beat Philly? Can they beat the Cowboys? That's gonna be the
Yeah.
two that's gonna be the two toughest spots for the Lions right now. We'll see how it goes. But honestly, you exceeded my expectations, Detroit, and I
Well, I
love it.
mean,
And I'm
yeah.
gonna say this: Dan Campbell should get Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean that's what's exciting though. I mean, if they beat the Cowboys this week too, I mean they could jump potentially all the way up to the 2nd or 1 seed.
Mhm.
So like, if they get a home game against Dallas or Philly, I'm liking it. If they have to play at Dallas or Philly, not really liking it. So
Yeah.
we'll see how these last 2 weeks play out.
And honestly, I mean, look how Detroit has been from 2 years ago when Dan Campbell started. This team was garbage. This team was bad. Like
Yeah.
golf, terrible. This team had like no expectations. Last year, for the 5 to maybe 6 weeks, they looked really bad. Even that Cowboys game, they looked really like they came close, but then they fumbled that way and lost it. And now
Mm-hmm.
I feel like halfway here, this is now the better Detroit Lions. I feel
Well, I
like
mean this like I think but like I genuinely think the Lions have a chance. And like it's just solely based on the fact that the Cowboys aren't that great against the run on defense. And the Lions are for the first time good at running the ball.
yeah,
And so like it might just be a weird matchup. I mean, I think the Lions defense still has a lot to work on. So like the Cowboys will probably this is gonna be a shootout, I think. I think this will be like a 30-24 type of game.
I think it's gonna be a good game. I can't wait for the Saturday. There's only one game on Saturday right now, and it's Lions and Cowboys, and that's probably the most exciting game. I am super excited
I
for.
think that one and the Ravens Dolphins this weekend are gonna be awesome.
Yes, I can't wait. It's gonna be so much of a fun game. Those are gonna be two of my like Christmas games that I'm gonna totally like micromanage and look at those two games and see how like these two games are. But now we got to talk about the Vikings, who are now been like stumbling in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
They're now out of the playoffs right now. They have not been looking like this has been like a mediocre like Vikings team. They're now down to their third quarterback right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also, Douglas, we can take our time because my tutor wants to reschedule.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. But anyway, I was just trying to think.
I mean, this team feels like a 5 to me. Like they're
Yeah,
outside the playoffs.
like the only problem is like this team has not been best right now. I've not been impressed right now. this team has not been looking good right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really don't think that they'll make it. Like, I just think that, I mean, they play the Lions again in 2 weeks. And I mean, TJ Hawkinson just went down for the year with a torn ACL. They don't have a quarterback.
Nick
Like
Mullins is not their quarterback. It should not be there. They're down to Nick Mullins, which is like, and he's not looking good. He did not look good against this Detroit team. I know they lost, but I'm not impressed.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a team that I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know, even if you make it, nobody's scared, but like you're not necessarily going to make it over all these other teams. They're sitting there very close.
Like honestly, if they do make it, and I don't think they're going to make it, I think they're going to be like Pittsburgh 2021, where they just get they're just going to absolutely just get destroyed, and it's not even going to be a fun game. Like they're just going to get killed by like Philly by like 40 points.
Yeah, I mean, they play the Packers on Sunday Night Football, which like that's basically an elimination game.
Yes. Like, and I feel like, yeah, I think honestly the Packers probably might be in a better spot than the Vikings right now.
Yeah, I mean, at least for the future too. So I don't know. They feel like a 5.
Yeah, honestly, I figured we're gonna have to give them the 5 for right now. We'll see how it goes from there. Now we've just discussed the Vikings. Now we got to talk about a surprise team that did good. NFC South dominated. A team from the NFC South dominated against the Packers at Lambeau Field. What is this? Is this 2 years ago? Is this?
Wait. Sorry, you confused me with your Lambeau Field. You're talking about the Buccaneers beating up on the Jaguars?
No, they beat the Packers right now. 30.
I think you're looking at something else.
Oh shit! Look. Sorry. This is a wrong. This highly.
They beat up on
the Jaguars. 12. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, they beat the Jaguars real good though.
They've been having 2 good games right now.
Mm-hmm.
What? Having an NFC South team that's looking really good, like.
Excuse me, my goodness. Yeah, no, good for them. Like, I think there's some panic in Jacksonville.
Like, I would be panicking too right now in Jacksonville right now. Like, so I guess we should start with the Buccaneers. How do you feel about this Buccaneers team? They're looking really
good.
Like,
I feel like they're another team that I wouldn't want to see in the playoffs, you know? Like, they're kind of one of those tricky teams where it's like, I don't know, if I was Dallas, I had to play in Tampa, I'd be a little bit nervous. Like,
I'm nervous too. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, my Cowboys fandom brain is like, we're gonna beat all the teams and we're going to the Super Bowl. But like the realistic one, I'm like, is this a trap game? Is this honestly a trap game? Is this? Yeah.
That's a tough game. Like, I mean, we were kind of laughing at Tampa like a few weeks ago, and like potentially rightfully so. I mean, they just were losing to everyone. Like, they just lost to the 49ers, the Colts. They were close against the Panthers. But then since then, I mean, like you said, they won in Lambeau fairly convincingly. They won against Jacksonville convincingly. They won at Atlanta. Like, they've won 4 straight games.
They've won 4 straight games.
I know they've won, 4 straight games. You know, and like, they're kind of like same thing with LA. Like, they're a team that just kind of getting hot at the right time.
Yeah.
These are always the teams that are a little bit scary because they're essentially fighting for their lives right now. So I mean, it's a hard team to face. I'll say that.
And next week they got to play against the Saints, and that's a do or die for the Saints right now. Like, the Saints have to win this game to make the playoffs. I feel like the Buccaneers are going to beat the Saints, and it's going to be.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I honestly feel like I think we should probably give them the 6 right now. We'll see how Dallas does these next couple weeks. Like, I think that's going to be a tough one. Like, and I got to see how they do against a mediocre Saints team. Like, I think if they dominate against this mediocre Saints team, I might put them a little bit higher. But
yeah, I mean, it'll be a twofold, like you just said. We'll see how the Lions Cowboys goes, and we'll see how the Tampa Bay versus New Orleans goes.
Now, if Tampa Bay loses this one, I think that I'm going to probably be like, yeah, Dallas got this one in the bag. There's pretty much this feels like last year where just basically the Bucs just get absolutely destroyed by the Cowboys, and it wasn't even a close, fun game.
Yeah,
So
no, I agree.
I honestly say six for the Buccaneers. Now we got to talk about the panic button right now in Jacksonville. They are still in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you already have it there. 6 is fair. I mean, they thankfully for them own a lot of tiebreakers, but like also like hopefully Trevor Lawrence can get healthy. Like this is a it feels like a very confusing team to me as well. Because when they're at their best, they're really good, but then they put up games like this, and you're just like, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, I
Like
mean,
4 straight losses in a row for Jacksonville. That is crazy to think that.
well, yeah, man, this felt like we were talking about them as potentially a number 1 seed. I feel like at some point here, because they were sitting there at like 8-3, like they had just come off of where would that have been? So before 1, 2,
Oh,
3,
I think it
4.
was when they
So they
beat.
had just beaten the Texans at Houston. We're like, oh yeah, dude, this team's gonna run away with it. No, they just keep losing. Granted, they're semi-close game. Well, no, the first 2 were. I mean, they were all potential playoff teams, which kind of makes it harder, but
Yeah.
still.
Like, I do not feel confident with Jacksonville winning a playoff game. I think they're still a 6. I don't think they're going to beat the Brownies.
No, I mean the way they're playing now, like, I mean they just played the Browns at the Browns a couple weeks ago, and they lost. I mean, granted, if it was in Jacksonville, maybe it's a little bit different, but I think the Browns have gotten
I feel like
better.
it's going to be a worse game for them in Jacksonville because I feel like the Browns have looked a lot more improving versus Jacksonville, where I'm just like, eh?
Yeah, it's 2 teams headed in opposite directions for sure.
Like, this one is like, and I always say it, I'm never going to judge a team at the beginning of the season where it's like, oh, in week 2, they got blown out by the Chiefs. I'm never going to judge Jacksonville, but I'm going to judge Jacksonville when it's sort of close to the end of the season and you're just laying eggs after eggs after eggs. I'm not.
Well, thankfully for them, they get the Panthers this week, so maybe a get right type of a game.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes for right now. So for right now, we're going to keep that for the 6, and I feel like they're still going to make the playoffs because, like I said, I don't feel confident with that Colts, like in that division right now. I just do not feel confident that they're going to, that the Colts, I mean, no, that's a good point. Like Houston, can Houston win the division at this point?
They could. They
And
definitely
is
could.
Jacksonville going to stumble?
That'd be a pretty rough collapse, but all is possible.
Yeah, but I just feel like who does Jacksonville got to play? They got to play against so they got 2 easy games. They got to get the Panthers at Jacksonville and a Titans team that's already gave up. So 2 teams they already gave up. So I think as long as they don't collapse like really badly, I think they will at least make the playoffs. I think they will at least make the division. So, but in the division, no, they're not winning against the Browns. I'm being confident right now, and I think they're not going to beat the Browns. There is no way they're beating the Browns.
Sounds good.
All right, the next game we got to talk about them Bears, who are still somehow
they just keep winning.
This division. How are the Bears still we already done eulogies on the Jets, on the Giants, on Washington, and yet there's still no NFC North team we have eulogized.
That's what's wild because I think everybody assumed that the NFC North would be like one of the weaker divisions, but it's kind of shown to be, I mean, not the best division, but definitely in the top of the divisions. Yeah. I mean, I think the NFC North, they're probably as good as they're better than the NFC South, very similar to the NFC West. They're close.
Yeah.
The Bears are kind of a weird one, though, because, they've, Justin Fields, I think he's done enough to show that they should build around him personally.
Now, this is going to be a good question. I should ask this. So the Bears are going to have 2 draft picks right now, and they're going to get the number 1 overall pick against because the Panthers, they traded away for Chase Young.
Yeah.
Should they get, because that's a good question, they get that number 1 overall pick, and everyone's talking about that USC quarterback right now.
Yeah.
Do they get the USC quarterback, or do you just go for, you just see how Justin Fields goes?
See, I mean, the way Justin Fields is playing and like this team has won 3 or 4 games, like I personally, if I was Chicago, I would huge because people are going to want Caleb Williams. They're calling him like a generational talent. Like, I don't know. Well, maybe I don't know that, but then you could also just like flip Justin Fields potentially for more draft picks, get Caleb Williams and a draft pick or 2 from Justin Fields, Then all of a sudden you have a generational quarterback and you have draft picks. So it's kind of a fun time to be a Bears fan because it's like you could do a lot with it.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny because I remember this year they were talking mad stuff about the Bears being this good, Bears being elite, Bears being the greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like next year, I think you should probably be hyped up for the Bears, just because it's like the future looks bright for Chicago, and,
it does, yeah.
And I feel like, I will be honest with you, I think they won that trade against the Panthers. I think that's a successful trade,
No doubt.
Yeah, even though the Bears have been like kind of mediocre, I think they won that one, and the Panthers look a lot more worse, and I feel like they're probably going to be bad for the next. I think next year they'll be bad. I think the year after that we'll see, but I'm just not impressed.
Well,
but
yeah, if I'm a Panthers fan, I'm kicking myself because I'm like, I don't know, like you could have had Caleb Williams and your draft pick.
Yeah,
what a shame.
And now you wasted. Now this is a good question. So the Bears are 2 games behind. Should we give them? Should we? I mean, to be fair, they did beat a Cardinals team that's already eliminated by 9 points.
I was the same, and they still feel like a 3 because I mean it's literally just a matter of when they're eliminated. I mean, they're even if they finish 8 and 9, like they're still not gonna make the playoffs. Like if we're being realistic,
like
they have like that 5% chance that you've been talking about. Like they're a classic 3.
Yeah, I think they're like a 5 or 2. Yeah, I feel like they're definitely. I'm trying to look. This is the only 3 that is left in the playoffs right now. That is so fun. They're the only 3. And I know the next 3 games, when we talk to the next 4 teams, I don't feel like anyone else is a 3.
No, and I mean that's the thing. I mean, they're a fun little story to end the season on a hot streak, but if you just like look at it, like they're literally so close to being eliminated.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of just holding on. I mean, they're like one of the only teams that probably should be eliminated. They have the worst record of any team. Like they have the same record as the Jets, who are eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of time. But like fun little turnaround. Justin Fields might have something to build around.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm like the clunky weak teams right now, I think I'd probably put the Bears. Am I crazy to think maybe next? We'll see how it goes for next year. I guess we got to wait for next year because, like I said, things can change, trades can happen, someone could get hurt. You know what I mean? Like anything can happen, like in a year from now. But I honestly do feel like if I'm a Bears fan, I'm very optimistic. But like I said, they're 3 for right now. I'm looking good. Now we got to talk about. Probably got to talk about this game, Douglas.
Let me see what game you're referring to.
I'm talking about
the Cowboys.
Yeah. Now we got to talk about the only team that's clinched the division. Actually, the 2 teams that clinched the divisions. Lions is one of them, and the Dolphins have clinched the division. They've made it to the playoffs. So no matter what.
They haven't clinched the division though. We talked about earlier they could still lose to the Bills.
Yeah, but they have at least made the playoffs. No matter what, they're going to be in the playoffs right now. They are still the number 2 seed right now. How do you?
They could be the 1 seed with a win this week. That's exciting.
That was just such a. I'm sorry. Okay, I will say this to the Cowboys. There were a lot of penalties they did not call on that Cowboys game, and also fumbled the game, and also I think it was bad penalties, and also that fumble in the beginning that kind of screwed us over.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Unfortunately, I didn't watch much of the game, but I gotta say, Stu, Cowboys shouldn't have put themselves in that spot.
I think
I mean, it's kind of a huge buzzkill for the Cowboys because they went from potentially leading the division, 1 seed, to 2 straight losses, and kind of right back to letting the Eagles control it. It's
yeah.
like you would have loved to see this one, like the Cowboys pull this one out. It was kind of like it was very deflating for me. Like I don't want to talk about the Cowboys. Talk about the Dolphins. Do you
The
watch Hard Knocks
Dolphins.
at all?
What?
Have you watched Hard Knocks?
No, I've not watched. I know that they had. So this year, I knew it was the Jets, and I know last year was the Lions, and then I know the Cowboys were the year before.
They're doing one with the Dolphins right now. They're doing an in season for the Dolphins, so it releases actually new episode released last night.
Mhm.
It's a lot of fun. Personalities on the team. I would recommend it because it's kind of fun to like see how like even if they lost the Titans, like Mike McDaniel like took that personally, and you kind of see it with how they beat the Jets 30-0, and then a nice one against the Cowboys here.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Miami's season is going to come down to this game against Baltimore, though. Like
Yeah,
if they don't beat
honestly,
Baltimore, they're a
two.
1 seed.
They got this might be the toughest of all the teams. They got to play against the Ravens and the Bills. Both teams
Yeah.
are, and like I said, like theoretically, the Bills could take the division.
Yeah. I mean, that's how big of a game this is. I mean, if Miami wins at Baltimore, they win the division, like everything's good. But if they lose, and they could potentially win the 1 seed if they win, but if they lose, they could go from 1 seed all the way down to like 5 or 6 seed with a loss.
Yeah,
Like nobody has more on the line this weekend than the Miami Dolphins.
I honestly feel like for this week, I think we got to keep them at the 8, just because it's both. I think the Ravens look really good. We'll talk about when we discuss the Ravens. I think those two are basically an 8, and then maybe we'll see how I feel when we discuss that Ravens 49ers game. But I feel like Dolphins look really good. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'd say maybe the Miami coach should get coach of the year. It's like him or Dan Campbell. It's like those two are like the two coaches I feel like should get coach of the year right now.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, the Dolphins have looked great. Like a lot of it will come down to can they clinch the division? Can they somehow get a 1 seed? So, very exciting.
Yeah, so I think they've been really good. They've been like coming back, and I honestly feel like that this is going to be so much of a great win. I love Tua right now. Tua's been balling right now as a quarterback right now. I feel like I've definitely got to give the Dolphins that solid 8 right now.
Sold.
But we got to talk about the Cowboys. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can keep this one quick. Like, they're still a 7.
Why? I literally we had a fumble at the 1-yard line that gave up 3 points, and there was there was so many penalties that the refs didn't call. It's like both of those like cost us the game. Why did we fumble at the 1? We used a different running back.
Yeah, I've been there.
Why? That was such a letdown of a game.
Yeah.
And we can't win on the road. That's the one tough part about this.
Yeah. No, you guys, I've never seen a team that's such a difference between home and road games.
Like literally we go from like super elite when we beat up the Eagles like decisively at home, and then lay an egg against the Bills, and then we lay an egg against them. And then the last time we won an away game was against a Panthers team who's not that good by 23 points.
Well, I mean, if I'm looking at your guys' away games, like you played at Miami, loss. At Miami, loss. At Buffalo, loss. You guys played 2 home games, win. You won 1 road game that I'm saying all season. You lost to the Eagles. You beat the Chargers. That's 2 road wins. You got destroyed by the 49ers. You lost to the Cardinals. So you won, 2 or 3 road games all year? You beat the Giants. You beat the Panthers. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Just 2 road wins all season?
Yeah.
2-7 on the road?
Yeah.
That's really bad. There's I feel no confidence that this team could go out and like I said earlier, like they're still a 7, but if they lose to the Lions and the Buccaneers win again,
Yeah, like now this is gonna be the good
I would
question.
say that they're a 6.
Now this is a good question. We should talk about this. And my dad's always talking about we should blow up the Cowboys organization. I don't think we should blow up. What do we do with Dak in this contract?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a bad spot to be in as like just an NFL team right now because I mean what's the alternative? You let him walk and like hope that you get another franchise QB?
Yeah, that's the only problem. Like, there's no one on the market. I'm not impressed. I am not taking Derek Carr over Dak. I am not taking Garoppolo over Dak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean there's nobody that's gonna come in and be better than Dak. It's kind of stinks that he's making so much, but like so is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, the Brownies are paying Deshaun all that money to not even play, and they're still, dominant.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do with this Cowboys. Like, I don't think it's one of those situations where they just don't try and they're just like here for clicks and stuff, and because it's like we're the boys. But like, I don't know what we need to do for next year to like get that Super Bowl caliber team. I think our defense is good.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like, I can't figure it out either because it's like it feels like it's just like a meltdown almost. Like there's so much potential and hope, and then they just lose on the road.
I mean, Mike McCarthy's an okay coach for.
Well, I mean, the thing that confuses me, like, there's been a lot of really confusing teams this year, but like, I'm not gonna lie to you, the Cowboys are up there for me because it's like they can go from beating a team 40-0, 38-3, to then losing 42-10.
Yeah.
It's like how do you beat a team by 40 and lose to a team by 30 plus in the same season? Like, I would love a stat check on that to see if that's ever happened before.
Yeah, like I honestly, I don't even feel confident against the Buccaneers now. I'm like, that's not supposed. And it's an NFC South team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's a road game, and like it sucks. I mean, because even if the Cowboys beat the Lions, until the Cowboys win on the road, it's hard to like have confidence. Because like we know what they do at home. I mean,
yeah, we dominate.
They're undefeated at home. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see the Cowboys beat the Lions by 14 plus points.
Yeah, but then I'm just like, this team ain't gonna beat the 49ers. How are we gonna beat the 49ers in this? I feel like it's gonna be a blowout.
Yeah, I mean, there already was once. And like I think a lot of it comes down to too, like we talked about, who gets the home game if Dallas plays Philly again. Because it seems like both you guys won at home, so like and that could be the determining factor for the Cowboys more than any other team. Because I mean, we've seen the Lions win in Arrowhead and Lambeau, and like have some nice road wins. We've seen Philly have some decent road wins, like nothing crazy, but we've seen the 49ers be dominant pretty much everywhere. So it's like, I don't know, the Cowboys are, if they win their division, like, shoot, they could easily make the conference championship, but I don't know.
I think we're probably going to give them the 7 for right now. We'll see how it goes. And like I said, Philly has like an easy schedule. I don't feel confident that we're going to win the division unless Philly like stumbles it. But they did stumble. But we'll talk about it when we get to there.
We'll talk.
But like I said, you know what I kind of forgot about? Man, this Broncos team. What a disappointment. Losing by 3.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that one sucked.
What happened? This team pulled the ball twice. Fumbled it. One of them cost them a pick 6 when it was a kickoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this has been a season of like runs for the Broncos. Like they went from atrocious to like, oh man, this team's really fun, to like all of a sudden they just like stink again. Like I don't know. It's like they had like a magic sauce in the middle of the year that they've since lost again.
This feels like Space Jam, where like the aliens just took all the great NBA players and now they're like cruds. That's how I feel about the Denver Broncos right now.
Well, I mean, because like I tried to watch some of the Broncos too, and they're just. I mean, the last couple of weeks have been a little bit tough to watch. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I straight picked the Patriots in this game, like just straight up, because I just kind of had a feeling that after watching how bad the Broncos were against the Lions, it's like this is a team that unfortunately just they're not there. Like,
Yeah.
Russ is playing a lot better than last year, but like they're still not a serious Super Bowl contender or like even playoff contender.
Yeah, I feel like from my opinion from the Broncos, and I will honestly say I think that loss kind of makes me more like think that Broncos. I mean, the Lions look good. Don't get me wrong, but I think honestly that loss against the Lions makes me think Denver is a lot worse than what they are.
No, same. Like that was like a very convincing loss.
Like I know that was a
So
road.
I mean, they still feel like a
Yeah,
yeah.
I still feel like for right now we got to give the Broncos a 4 because they are still 2 games ahead. This isn't
Yeah.
like the Bears where it's like you have to win out. You got to win out the next 2 games, and then like everyone else collapses like in front of you. Like I feel like the Broncos still have like some runway, but it's not good runway. Like I probably would get like the Bears maybe get like a 3% odds of making the playoffs. Broncos I may give them like a 7% odds right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not looking good. You had a fun run there, Denver, but
Yeah, and it's not good that you lost to a team that's already eliminated, and it's the Patriots who's bad. So
yeah, and at home, like lots of red flags.
like there's a lot of red flags. I definitely do feel like I am not. I mean, they're looking a lot better than last year because last year they were kind of more of a tire fire and a joke. Like I feel like last year they tried to do the Ram strategy because they were like, we just get the quarterback. But I don't think Russell Wilson's that person. Like I said,
Yeah.
and back to what I was saying, I would rather have Dak than Russell Wilson right now.
Oh
Hands
yeah, no doubt.
like,
Not really. I mean, Dak is still a top 5 QB at home. Just learn how to win on the road, Dak.
yeah, just went on the road, Dak, and then we'll see how it goes. Now we got to talk about them Raiders beating up. I watched this game. They beat up the Kansas City Chiefs like 20-14. Even though it was a close game, it was not. The Raiders actually looked a lot better than what I
Well, I mean,
expected.
that's the thing. Like, I really hope that the Raiders do the right thing and like keep their coach. You know, like whatever he's
Hey,
doing.
don't do what they did in 2021 when they fired Gruden and then they had the internal head coach and then they just got rid of him.
Exactly. Like, I mean, are you going to make the playoffs this year? Probably not. But I mean, you're still sitting there.
Like,
Like, like unfortunately, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 teams sitting there 1 game ahead of you. But like, you play the Colts, you play the Broncos, 2 potentially winnable games. I mean, you finish at 9-8, you might make it.
yeah, I honestly feel like they still have a legit shot. And you know what the crazy part is? If Raiders went out and KC loses out, Raiders win the division.
Yeah.
What wild world would that be?
So here's what's sad though, because they're not technically eliminated, but on the AFC playoff picture, they don't even have the Raiders listed on here. It's like they have less than a 10% chance. So like, so that just doesn't seem right though. Oh yeah, it says teams with less than 10% chance are not included. So they're less than a 10%, which makes them kind of a see. But like, I feel like there's still a 4 though, because like you said, they could still win their division.
Yeah, I honestly still think they can win the division. They can still make the playoffs. They have only tough two. They have a Colts team. Granted, I think people think the Colts are going to win. I think that's a trap game for the Colts.
Yeah.
And then they play against the Broncos, who I feel like they might be eliminated in the playoffs. So I guess, like I said, they're fighting for their lives. I think for right now, we got to give the Raiders a 4.
All right, cool.
Now, we got to talk about this KC team. What has happened? What an utter collapse right now. This KC team right now has not been looking good.
Yeah, I mean, they're still sitting in the 4 seed with a 97% chance. But I think, well, they play Buffalo in the playoffs, and I think they need to go to
I think they need to go to a 6 right now. Like, I am not impressed with Patrick Mahomes. Like I'm just not
well, yeah, I
impressed.
mean, the receivers drop everything.
Like Travis Kelce did not look good in that game. Like Taylor Swift.
No, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have traded for Travis Kelce this year. That was my mistake. Like, I thought he was going to be the typical Travis Kelce, and like, he's still having a nice year, but for fantasy purposes, he did nothing.
And that's just say something with, like, if he's not doing good in fantasy, that's not good in the regular season. If you're dropping a lot of balls, if you're not making any pass yardage, if you're not doing good, that's not good.
It's not good.
Like, I just do not feel confident. It's crazy because this team was like the Super Bowl winners. And now I'm thinking, I don't think this team's going to win a playoff game.
No, I mean, Buffalo's like super hot. This team's just like really not. So, like, I think 6 just feels fair. I mean, you just lost to Buffalo at home. There's
And
no reason to think that you would now beat Buffalo after losing to, the Raiders. So,
it's crazy. And it's crazy to think this. I don't think this season I was going to put them at a 6. It's crazy.
No, I mean, that's what's fun about the NFL, though. It's like every time I think I have it figured out, weird games like this happen. So,
Yeah, I honestly just thought I feel like Casey is and now this is a good question because I feel like they're in the same boat as the Cowboys right now. What do you do for KC for next year if you're not going to win a playoff? Let's just say theoretically they lose to the Buffalo.
I mean, you go out and you sign a star receiver. You realize that you messed up severely on letting Tyreek Hill go, as he's out there potential league MVP, and you're sitting out here with Tony, who's
Kadarius Toney.
slant routes and turning them into pick sixes.
Oh my god!
Like, I think if you're Kansas City,
with Kadarius Toney on that one. Oh my goodness! I bet you the Giants fan are so happy about thank you for getting rid of Kadarius Toney for us.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to watch, because Mahomes is still being Mahomes, but I mean, I don't know, it just feels like nobody's getting open, nobody's catching balls, nobody's making those big plays that they're used to just making.
Though he did have a pick 6 on that one, so that one's a kind of a bad spot. I will say that.
Oh yeah, I mean, Mahomes hasn't been perfect this year, but it's also hard when he does throw good balls and they just bounce straight up in the air off somebody's hands, and you're like, I don't know. Regardless, they're a 6.
Yeah, I think for right now, we got to give them the 6. We'll see how they go. I think they'll still make the playoffs unless they haven't utterly collapsed. So who does KC have to play for the next 2 weeks? KC got to play against the Bengals team who looks banged up, and a Chargers team whose season's done.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to give us some nice games to end the season too. What a shame.
What a shame.
Bengals Chiefs, if that was, Burrow versus Mahomes or a playoff spot.
Oh my god. Could you imagine literally if this was preseason and we're just looking at the season, it's oh my god, week 17, we got the Chiefs versus KC. It's gonna be the battle of the AFC Championship again, rematch.
Mm-hmm.
Womp, womp.
We'll see, and now all of a sudden we're circling Miami versus Baltimore. So, how the season changes.
Yes. Oh, how the season does change on this one. Mm-hmm. And now we got to talk about. We only got 3 teams left to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this Eagles team who barely beat. I mean, they had a huge lead. Okay, to be fair, the Eagles did have.
They were up significantly.
Yeah, they were up significantly in the first half by 17 points, and then almost blew that game by 8 points.
Yeah, I mean, it was another one of those weird games. I mean, it was a 2-point game late in the third quarter, but then they got right back up to 12 again. And so it kind of felt like one of those games where it's kind of felt like Philadelphia earlier from the year where you weren't impressed with them, but it's they just controlled the game, but they weren't dominant.
Yeah.
So it's they still feel like a 7 to me. I still think they'll win a game, but they're definitely not that dominant team that we kind of expected them to be. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he looks good, but not great. This is a team that I mean, I think they're good, but I'm not particularly excited about. Like, I don't feel like the same way I feel like when I think about a team like the 49ers or like those elite, like the Ravens or the Dolphins. I just kind of feel like Philly's solid. Like they'll probably win the division, win a playoff game, and then we'll see.
Yeah, I think honestly, they've been kind of doing the same thing. I feel like they've just been like they've been barely. I don't think they've ever been dominant. I'm trying to look. Have they been dominant on any of their like football games? Like I'm trying to look. Barely beat them. Barely beat
I
the
mean, they beat the
Patriots.
Dolphins pretty
Vikings
good, which is a nice
close.
win.
What was it?
They beat the Dolphins pretty good. That was like their best win of the season.
Yeah, that is true. They did have that, but then they kind of been like barely beat them, barely beat the Cowboys, barely beat the Chiefs. And I feel like now looking at that, the Chiefs weren't really that good. Buffalo's been like a mid team. And then I feel like once we got to December right now, lost badly to the 49ers, lost badly against the Cowboys, lost to the Seahawks, and sort of closely beat Giants. I still feel like they're still a 7.
Yep.
Like I feel like that this is probably not the Philly of last year. But
No.
to be honest with you, I think if I had to put a gun to my head, who am I picking to make the NFC Championship? It's Lions 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, for the time being, like that's what's fun. Like I would probably pick the same.
Yeah. Like I don't feel like the Eagles are not making. I just don't think they're going to make it to the. I feel like that's my problem with the Eagles all season long, and I know that I'm trying to get my Philly bias away from me, even though I hate the Eagles with a passion.
Mhm.
But that has always been my complaint on Philly, and they still have been doing this problem. They're barely winning games.
Yeah.
They've only had like one good decisive game. And I feel like that this is the one difference I would say between the Eagles right now and the Cowboys on the bad teams.
Yeah. No, I'd agree.
Like Cowboys have at least been dominant against bad teams. Have been like balling out against bad teams. Philly just like stumbles and then they like get too close for comfort.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like, and Jalen Hurts has been like a decent quarterback. I don't think he's like that elite yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, he's still got some growth for sure. Like, because I mean, they should have beaten the Seahawks. Like, they kind of blew that game.
Yeah, they blew that game last week. And then, like I said, they should have been dominant against this Giants team that's already bad. And you almost blew that game, to be honest with you. Almost. I mean, granted, it was maybe like a 30% odds you were going to blow that game, but that's not good. You should have been dominant in this game. It should have been 34-0.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's that, even though, and it's at Philly, that's even the worst. Is it at Philly?
Yeah.
It's at Philly. That's even worse.
Which one? This one that against the Giants? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And
Well, enough Philly talk. We'll figure out. Well, we won't figure out anything about them till the playoffs because they play the Giants again and they play the.
yeah, they got like 2 easy games. Like as long as they don't have like a really clunker loss, I think they're gonna probably be that 2 seed, maybe that 2 or 3 seed for right now.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see where they want to put like where they're gonna put the Eagles. But like I said,
Well, I'll say because the tiebreaker between them and the Lions is strength of victory, I think. But like they play two bad teams. The Lions, if the Lions win their last two games, they'll have two better wins. So it'll
yeah.
be close to see what happens in that tiebreaker scenario.
And then that's gonna be interesting because then they would have to play against the Seahawks. I think would they play against the Seahawks?
Like right now, they would, yeah.
And I don't feel confident against the Seahawks. I mean that they're gonna beat the Seahawks right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they would just because it's at home, but like, I mean, they just lost to them, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I know we're talking a lot about these Eagles. Now we got to talk about this range. Baltimore just balled out right now against the 49ers, 33-19.
I think this is the closest team I've seen all season. Well, that's a lie. The 49ers as well, but I think 49ers versus Baltimore just kind of feels like both potential nines. I mean, I will say Like after watching a team dominate in San Fran like that, very impressed. Very
Yes.
impressed. I think if Baltimore beats the Dolphins this week, I think they're 9. Like I don't think anybody's going into Baltimore necessarily. I mean, they'll be the 1 seed. They'll get a bye week. Like this is this is easily the best team in the AFC, unless those Dolphins can figure it out. Because if the Dolphins went out and they get the 1 seed, then that'll be super interesting. But I just see Baltimore just being so dominant. Like great defense. Lamar's been fantastic.
This is honestly best Lamar's season. Like at anyone.
Yeah, probable MVP candidate right there. Like defense playing out of their mind. Like they just they didn't shut down, but they pretty much dominated the 49ers. I mean, they had like a nice goal line stand. Like they picked up Brock Purdy 4 times. Like just dominant in every sense of the word. Like offense scored, I think, at one point on 7 straight drives. Defense 4 interceptions. You know, like they still have Justin Tucker, who's probably the best kicker in the game. Like this team is built for the playoffs.
Like I honestly feel like I think we need to give Baltimore the solid 9. I think this team's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I mean this could easily flip if they lose to Miami, but for now, I think a 9 is well deserved. I mean, shoot, we were talking about San Francisco like they were the best team on the planet, and this team just went into San Fran and beat them really convincingly.
I mean, how do you not give a 9 to a team that literally just did that? They just dominated against I think, potential Super Bowl winning team, potential MVP team, and dominated. They did good. They beat them decisively. So I think Ravens have to be that solid 9 right now. Let's go. Can you believe it?
I love it. My only gripe, I think, on this NFL season as a whole is that these big time games are not living up to the hype almost ever. Like every time we have like a big game, like last week it was like the Eagles Cowboys or whatever, and the Cowboys won by 20.
I mean, it was fun for me.
I was gonna say like it's fun for the home team, so like man, oh man, like I would like some class. Like it's just crazy to see. Like I thought this would be the game of the year. I mean, you have the 2 potential 1 seeds, and then Baltimore just goes and destroys. Like 9 well deserved.
Yeah, I honestly am gonna say, I feel like that honestly, this might be the funnest fun thing. And yeah, I think the only good fun game was probably the Cowboys Miami game. That was probably the only like really fun game to watch this week, to be honest.
Yeah, hopefully this week lives a little bit more up to the hype with some of these like big time matchups.
Yeah,
Like, hopefully the Lions show up in Dallas and at least give us a good game.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes right there. And now we got our final. We got to talk about what do we do with the 49ers? I mean, I still think they're going to the Super Bowl, but this one definitely gave me some red flags a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're still a solid 8. I mean, they've already beaten up on the other 2 of the other 3 main contenders in the NFC. I mean, if they play at home against the Lions, like I would pick San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like you said, there's obviously red flags. Like we've seen Brock Purdy kind of do this twice, where he's had really big dud games. So I think he had a 3-pick game against someone, and they were talking about benching him or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he just went on like a tear and was like MVP front runner. But this was kind of his chance to like prove the naysayers wrong against an elite defense.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he do? Had probably his career worst game in the biggest moment.
Yeah.
This felt, dare I say, Stu, that this might offend you. This felt Dak Prescott-esque.
No! How are you gonna do that?
It's like you have a chance and a huge game to show that you're league MVP, and you throw 4 picks. It's like, come on, man. This was your chance. Like, you're still going to get paid, but, like, man, oh, man, you could have been the new face of the NFL. Like, golly, go. I don't know. It was a huge disappointment, but they're still an 8. I mean, I still don't know that anybody in the NFC can beat them, but I don't know.
All right. I will say, I feel like for the 49ers, sorry. Anyway, I feel like for the 49ers, yeah, this is a big disappointment. But like I said, I still think they're better than the Eagles, Cowboys, and Lions right now.
Exactly. Like, I mean, they're still the class of the NFC. They're
Yeah.
still the second best team in the NFL.
Uh-huh.
It was just a eye-opening. I mean, this could be the thing that they needed, like in the movie where the team kind of gets humbled a little bit. Like I was saying, the Lions with the Bears, maybe this was the 49ers humbling moment.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, they could have came into this game just thinking that they were the best team in the NFL. They're favored at home, and Baltimore came in with a chip on their shoulder saying, no, we're the best.
Uh-huh.
And Baltimore clearly showed that they're the best team in the league right now.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I think they're still a solid 8. Like, I don't think there's much else to talk about there.
And I think they got an easier schedule because they got to play against Commanders at Commanders, and that one I think they're just going to destroy the Commanders. And then they got to play against the Rams. Who that one might be an interesting one, but I think they can probably beat the Rams.
Yeah, they should beat the Rams.
Yeah,
But maybe that'll be the game that propels the Lions to the 1 seed.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But I think for right now, that's a good question. Should we still give them the 9 or should we give them the 8? That's a good question to ask.
Is the 9 like just making the Super Bowl?
9 is still making the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean, we're still saying that they're the best team in the NFC. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they still could be a solid 9. I mean, Baltimore could have given us a recipe to beat them. But, I mean, I think just as far as the NFC goes, like, they're still, I think, pretty much a lock to make the Super Bowl. Like, they might be a weak 9 or a strong 8.
Yeah, so I think for right now, we got to give them the 9 for right now. I think for right now. And if they do have any like stumbles, then maybe I'll put that right there. And like I said, there we have it. We are done with week 16 of NFL. We have only have, as of right now, left in this league, we have 12. So I'm going to try to think. I'm trying to think. So there's 32. So there's how many teams are eliminated right now? So we have now, so we have 11 teams that are eliminated. So it's 21 teams we talked about this week that still have a playoff push. Now I guess we need to talk about for next week for our stock options.
Yeah.
Who do you want to put in the stock options right now for the next weeks for week 17? So I guess the only one I honestly would probably put some stock on the Dolphins. I think they weirdly might win this game against the Ravens.
Oh man, so that's okay. That's a bold take.
I think I'm going to do a bold take. I'm got to risk it for the biscuit right now, and I feel like we got to go for. I think you got to go. We're probably going to increase my stock options, and
I'm gonna take a really bold take because it's kind of a silly take, but give me the Bears.
what? Stink the Bears are still. I mean, they got to play against the Falcons.
I was gonna say, like, if they beat the Falcons, I mean, they're still not gonna make the playoffs. But like, if I'm just looking for a quick, they could win another game and then bump up a little bit before eliminated. Like, I think that they'll beat the Falcons and maybe jump up to a 4 or a 5. If I was gonna sell, I'd probably sell Jacksonville. As weird as that sounds, even though they have a nice schedule, like, I just don't see this as a team that's gonna reasonably win a playoff game.
Ooh, now here's another good one. I'm going to pick the Raiders. I think
I was looking at that one.
I still think this is a trap game against the Colts. I think
that.
and they beat the Patrick Mahomes KC. I think they could probably go and beat the Colts.
Yeah, that would be a good one too. So I like those ones.
I think those are the 2 ones. And then, like I said, we have now. This is gonna be a good question. We should probably do the let's look at who's gonna be eliminated soon segment. So looking at it right now, are we gonna do a eulogy on the Bears or not? And now, a good question also is, will Tampa, LA, and Seattle win a game? Because I feel like at that point, that will eliminate the Bears.
Yeah, I was say the Bears are about to be. I mean, the Packers are probably the loser of the Packers versus Minnesota is probably eliminated. So, like, I think we'll have an elimination game there, essentially.
I
'Cause,
think
yeah, I mean that one.
I
Yeah.
I think for next week, I think we're probably gonna do eulogy on the Bears. I hate to say it, and I think we're probably gonna do eulogy on the Vikings. I know you disagreed and you put some stock on the Bears, but this is the
Well,
Bears.
so, yeah, I mean, if the Bears win, and they're not technically eliminated, like I would bump them up again. I mean, we might be doing a eulogy for Denver next week.
Oh, but Denver's only like yeah, that's true because like basically yeah, Denver's the only one that's like if they lose they're out.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
I
think
mean, granted they play the Chargers at home, but like they just lost to the Patriots at home, so like I would throw one in for them. That's probably about it. Maybe the Saints.
yeah, I feel like the Saints might be a good eulogy candidate right now. Like I do
I mean,
think,
if they lose to the Buccaneers, I'm pretty sure they're eliminated. So,
but like I said,
uh,
can you
cool.
believe it? We have done how long in this monstrosity of pod? 1 hour and 45. We got a little bit less this time.
Well, perfect. Let's post it, and I have an idea for an additional video, but I'll tell you after we're done recording.
Alrighty, let's do it. Let's do it. So anyway, I shall catch you later, Mr. Gators, because take care.